West Philadelphia, May 14th, 1990. 2:30 in the morning. A short man in a sharp outfit is walking home from a party on Creighton Street. He has diamonds around his neck, a gold pendant that spells out his name in stones, Bucky, the kind of jewelry that tells people who you are before you open your mouth. He has ostrich skin boots on his feet. Inside one of those boots is a gun. He reaches the door of the row house. He pulls out his key. He starts working the lock. He never hears them coming. The shots hit before he can get the door open. He goes for the gun inside the boot, reaches for it, but by then it is already over. Leroy Bucky Davis dies on that porch. He was 22 years old, number one or number two in the most feared drug organization Philadelphia had ever seen. The man his boss trusted above every other man in the city, dead on a porch in West Philly with a key in his hand and a gun in his boot. The girl he came home with that night got in the car with the killers. Nobody ever saw her again. And here is the part that makes your stomach drop. The man on the street, the man who actually pulled the trigger, was not a rival. He was not law enforcement. He was not someone from a competing organization. He was with the Junior Black Mafia, one of Bucky's own. And according to people who were there, the order came from above, from the man Bucky had protected, served, and kept alive while he sat in prison. From the man Bucky called his mentor, his big brother, his closest friend, Aaron Jones, the man who built the Junior Black Mafia from nothing, the man who had trusted Bucky with his entire operation, the man who, if the streets are telling the truth, had his most loyal soldier murdered over money. This is the story of a boxer who chose one wrong door, a lieutenant who became a boss who was betrayed by the organization he bled for, and an empire that destroyed itself from the inside out. This is the story of Leroy Bucky Davis and the Junior Black Mafia. This wasn't just a gang. This wasn't just a crew. The Junior Black Mafia was a corporation. By their peak, they were moving 200 to 300 kilograms of cocaine every single month through North and West Philadelphia. They had 50 members and 300 associates. Their people wore diamond-encrusted JBM rings like they were part of a fraternity. They owned 33 legitimate businesses, car dealerships, auto shops, and food markets as fronts for their money. And they had one rule that every dealer, every corner boy, every independent operator in Philadelphia learned fast: get down or lay down. You either bought your supply from the JBM at their price, on their terms, or you dealt with the consequences. The consequences were not subtle. In a 14-month stretch between April 1988 and August 1989, law enforcement attributed 25 murders to JBM-related activity, 25 bodies in 14 months, in one city, from one organization. Philadelphia's newspapers ran headlines about them weekly. The Pennsylvania Crime Commission dedicated entire reports to them. A task force, DEA, ATF, FBI, IRS, Pennsylvania State Police, and local police, was assembled specifically to bring them down. The man who built all of this was Aaron A.J. Jones. Jones was smart, dangerously smart. He had attended Temple University before the streets pulled him back. As a young teenager, he had run errands for Robert Mims, known as Nudie, a founding member of the original Philadelphia Black Mafia. He learned the business from the ground up. He understood structure. He understood discipline. He understood that an organization ran on loyalty, and that the moment loyalty broke down, everything collapsed. He had connections the streets did not even know about. The Pennsylvania Crime Commission noted in 1989 that the JBM was operating alongside members of the Philadelphia Italian mob, including Joey Merlino, known as Skinny Joey, in the cocaine business. JBM Lieutenant Benny Goff served as the bridge, owning legitimate auto businesses in Manayunk that gave him access to Italian mob figures. The Italians brought supply. The JBM moved it. Business was very, very good. Jones wore money green Fila sweatsuit, money green Adidas. A money green Benz would roll up behind him when he pulled up on corners. He was theatrical about his power. He wanted the streets to see him coming. But the man he trusted most, his right hand, his acting boss, the man he put in charge when the walls started closing in, was a short, vicious, diamond-wearing former boxer from Southwest Philly, Leroy Davis, known as Bucky. The streets called him Bucky. Before the JBM, before the kilos and the corner meetings and the ostrich skin boots, Leroy Davis had a different future in mind. He was a boxer, not a casual fighter, a genuine amateur with real talent and a shot at something legitimate. People who knew him in those years said he was built for it, short, explosive, with the kind of vicious energy in the ring that made people pay attention. But promising careers cost money to develop. Training, equipment, travel, time. And time was something the streets of Southwest Philadelphia did not give you for free. In 1986, Bucky Davis made a decision. He put the gloves down. Sam Magic Brown, one of Aaron Jones's most trusted lieutenants, introduced Bucky to the operation. And from the moment Bucky walked through that door, he moved fast. Within a year, by 1987, he had risen to the upper echelon of the JBM. Not as muscle, not as a corner boy, as a boss. At his peak, Bucky Davis was personally overseeing the distribution of more than 50 kilos of product every single month. Southwest Philly, West Philly, neighboring states. His territory was enormous, and his operation was tight. He ran meetings at the Sugar Bowl, a store he owned on 50th and Springfield in Southwest Philadelphia. Legitimate business on the outside. JBM Command Center on the inside. Men came through that door to report numbers, receive orders, and stay close to the man who was running the city's most profitable street operation. He wore his name in diamonds around his neck. He wore ostrich skin boots on his feet. He dressed like a man who knew exactly who he was and exactly how far he had come from the boxing gym. And through all of it, through the money and the power and the territory, his relationship with Aaron Jones was the one constant. Bucky thought the world of AJ. According to people who were inside that organization, Jones was Bucky's mentor, his big brother, his closest friend in the game, the man he would do anything for. That loyalty, absolute, unquestioned, complete, was Bucky's greatest strength. It was also what got him killed. 1989. The Junior Black Mafia is at the height of its power, and the government is watching every move. The Joint Task Force has been building its case for months. Wiretaps, surveillance, informants flipping one by one and walking back into federal offices with everything they knew. The walls are closing in, slowly but unmistakably. Aaron Jones can feel it. In August 1989, Jones and his second-in-command, Sam Magic Brown, are re-indicted, this time on attempted murder charges stemming from a shooting earlier that year. The charges are complicated. The legal fight is going to be long. Jones needs to be everywhere at once, and he can't be. He makes a decision. He puts Bucky in charge, not as a figurehead, not as a placeholder, as the actual acting boss of the Junior Black Mafia, the man who runs the day-to-day operation while Jones fights his legal battles from inside the Philadelphia Detention Center. Think about what that means. Jones had built this organization from nothing. He had killed for it. He had expanded it across an entire city. He had connected it to the Italian mob and the DEA's worst nightmares. And when he needed someone to hold all of that together, someone he could trust with his life's work, he chose Leroy Bucky Davis. Not Moochie Thornton, not Black Sam, not any of the other men who had been in the game longer. Bucky, the former boxer from Southwest Philly, the man with diamonds around his neck and the sugar bowl on the corner. That choice told everyone in the Junior Black Mafia something important. In Aaron Jones's mind, there was no one more loyal, more capable, or more trusted than Leroy Bucky Davis. What nobody saw coming was what was building in the shadows. Brian Moochie Thornton had been in the JBM since the beginning. He was a boss in his own right, connected, powerful, with his own territory and his own men. And he was watching Bucky run the organization that, in his mind, should have had more of his fingerprints on it. What happened next, according to court testimony, Pennsylvania Supreme Court records, and people who lived through it, is one of the oldest plays in the criminal world. Moochie started talking, not to enemies, not to the police, to Aaron Jones. From prison, Jones was receiving information through back channels, messages, updates. The messages Moochie was sending painted a picture of a man, Bucky Davis, who was supposedly planning to take the organization for himself, skimming money, building his own power base, setting up to make a move on Jones's throne while Jones was locked up and could not do anything about it. A palace coup in progress. Right now. Here is what the court records show, and this is critical. The testimony presented in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court reveals that multiple informants told Jones that Thornton was actively feeding him lies about Bucky, that Thornton was conjuring up a lot of lies against Leroy Davis to present to Aaron Jones, that he was manufacturing a story of betrayal where none existed in order to eliminate Bucky and position himself as the man in charge. But poison works slowly. And if you pour enough of it into someone's ear, especially someone sitting in a cell with no way to verify what is true, it starts to take hold. Jones was also hearing a simpler story from the streets. Bucky was supposed to be sending money to his boss while Jones sat in jail, regular payments, taking care of the man who had put him in position. According to street accounts, the money stopped coming, or was not coming in the right amounts, or was not getting there on time. Whether it was the palace coup story, whether it was the money, something shifted in Aaron Jones's mind about the man he had trusted above everyone else. May 14th, 1990. 2:30 a.m. Bucky Davis walks toward a row house on Creighton Street in West Philadelphia. He is coming home from a party. He has a girl with him. He has diamonds on his chest, ostrich skin boots on his feet, and a gun inside one of those boots. He reaches the door, pulls out his key, and starts working the lock. The shots come before the door opens. Bucky goes for the boot and reaches for the gun. His hands find it, but it is already too late. He dies on that porch. The girl he came home with looks at the men who shot him. She gets in their car and is never seen again. The Philadelphia streets absorb that information in the days that follow. People piece together what they know and draw their conclusions. They say Moochie Thornton ordered the hit, but the word, the permission, came from above, from a man sitting in the Philadelphia detention center from Aaron Jones, the mentor who had made Bucky a boss, the big brother who had trusted him with an empire, the man Bucky thought the world of. Aaron Jones finds out the truth too late. Or maybe, according to some accounts, he finds out almost immediately. Because here is what happens next. Jones, from his prison cell, learns that it was Moochie Thornton who ordered Bucky's murder, that Thornton had lied, that the palace coup story was fiction, that Bucky Davis, his most loyal man, had been set up and killed by a man Jones thought was his ally. Whether Jones ordered Bucky's death out of misguided paranoia or whether he was played completely, the outcome was the same. Bucky was gone, and somebody was going to pay. But Moochie Thornton was untouchable. He was locked up, a co-defendant on Jones's own federal case. You do not reach inside a federal facility to settle a score without creating a disaster. So Jones found another way. Bruce Kennedy was Moochie Thornton's cousin. He was also a JBM lieutenant. And while Jones was in prison, Kennedy had made another mistake. He had started spending time with Nisha Witherspoon, Aaron Jones's baby mama. The man who arranged Bucky's murder had a cousin sleeping with Jones's woman. In Jones's mind, the math was simple. On August 18, 1990, two JBM members, James J-Mo Anderson and Chris Anderson, not related, walked into Mommy's Market on 54th Street near Master in West Philadelphia. Bruce Kennedy was behind the counter, cooking a steak sandwich. They shot him more than a dozen times. James Anderson stood over Kennedy and fired 3 more bullets into his head. The message had been sent to Moochie Thornton. Killing Bucky Davis had a price. The revenge killing of Bruce Kennedy was the beginning of the end. October 2nd, 1991. The federal indictment drops. Aaron Jones and 24 of his men are arrested. April the 23rd, 1992. Jones and Moochie Thornton are convicted on drug and racketeering charges. January 1993. Aaron Jones is sentenced to death for the murder of Bruce Kennedy. Life in federal prison for running a continuing criminal enterprise, $100 million in cocaine moved through Philadelphia between 1985 and 1991. And death row in Pennsylvania for ordering one revenge killing. The man who had built an organization that moved 300 kilos a month, who had connected the streets of Philadelphia to the Italian mob, who had worn money green and pulled up in a money green Benz and made the entire city say, "Get down or lay down," sitting on death row, because the most loyal man he ever had was taken from him, and he could not let it go. Jones still sits on death row in Pennsylvania, still fighting his conviction, still maintaining that he was framed by informants and unethical agents. His lawyer has argued racial discrimination in his sentencing. The appeals have continued for decades. Moochie Thornton, the man court testimony says set the whole thing in motion, is also serving federal life. James Anderson, one of the men who killed Bruce Kennedy, is serving life in Pennsylvania. He is the cousin of Bucky Davis. He was one of the men who helped make the tailor-made documentary about Bucky's life from his prison cell. Think about that. Bucky Davis's own cousin helped carry out the revenge killing for Bucky's murder and is now serving life for it. The junior black mafia did not fall because of law enforcement. It fell because of lies, because of jealousy, because Moochie Thornton whispered poison into the ear of a man in a prison cell, and because that man, Aaron Jones, trusted the wrong version of the truth. Go to Southwest Philadelphia today. Walk down 50th Street past Springfield Avenue. Look for the Sugar Bowl. It's gone, long gone. The corners where Bucky Davis ran 50 kilos a month are quiet now, gentrified in some places, still rough in others. The men who were there are dead, or in prison, or old enough to remember a different Philadelphia. In 2012, Bucky's cousin, Damon E. Giles, made a documentary about his life, tailor-made, The Bucky Davis Story, released at the African American Museum in Center City, Philadelphia, available on DVD. Most people have never seen it. Most people have never heard the name Leroy Davis at all. And that's the thing about Bucky that sticks with you, even now. He was 22 years old when he died. He had been in the game for 4 years. 4 years. And in those 4 years, he had risen from a young man looking for a way out of a tight situation to the acting boss of the most feared organization in Philadelphia's history. He was distributing 50 kilos a month. He was trusted by a man who trusted nobody. He wore his name in diamonds because he had earned the right to wear it. And he was killed on a porch in West Philly at 2:30 in the morning, reaching for a gun in a boot, while a girl he would never see again got into a car with the people who killed him. The street account says it was about money, that Bucky did not send enough to Jones while Jones sat in jail. The court record says it was about lies, that Moochie Thornton manufactured a story of betrayal, and Jones believed it long enough for it to cost Bucky his life. Maybe both are true. Maybe neither is. What is true, what the record shows, is this. The most loyal man in the junior black mafia was dead at 22. The organization that killed him was gone within 2 years. The boss who ordered it, or who could not stop it, has been on death row ever since. And the streets of Philadelphia have never quite produced another story like this one. Get down or lay down. Leroy Bucky Davis got down harder than anybody and laid down for it anyway. If you're new here, subscribe to Bloody Reports. This is Philadelphia's story, and there are 1,000 more like it that nobody has told yet.